with this microphone. I'm trying to attack President Trump. Hurry up, I want. And then there's Chuck Schumer. Hurry up, I want to cry into the microphone. Hurry up. It's like, Lord.
It's a crazy disaster.
Oh, Judge Napolitano,
Hello,
take me away,
Jamie. How are
Calgon.
you?
I know to you I may look old. Hope this statement ain't too bold, but here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge.
Is this mic working, Judge Napolitano? How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you? Is
I'm
that
doing-
you or is that somebody else?
No, that's me. I'm imitating. Well, it's either Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi. Because they sound the same. We all sound the same when we can't talk into a microphone. Yeah.
I'm not sure that one should question the sincerity of somebody's emotion. And I love Donald Trump, but he doesn't know what's in Chuck Schumer's heart. Only Chuck does, and God.
That's true. I agree with you
People
on that.
cry when they get emotional at things. Listen, I don't like Schumer. I don't like what he's doing, but to purport to get inside his soul is a little much.
Well, yeah, I know. I don't know whether Donald Trump really was going to the point where he was claiming he was getting in his soul. I think he was just, jousting with him.
Yeah, if it was a political brushback to Schumer, he deserves it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that Trump had to fire Sally Yates last night, a wise and timely thing to do, is because we don't have an attorney general. We don't have an attorney general because Schumer's taking his time because he wants to make life miserable for Jeff Sessions. But the president is entitled to the tools that the Constitution provides for him, one of which is a functional Justice Department.
Right, because I was pointing out earlier before we hooked on with you is that it looks like the fact that even Sally Yates was there is a mechanism of the promised delays of Senator Schumer.
Correct, because she was the Obama appointee for number 2 in the Justice Department, just as Trump and Sessions will have an appointee for number 2 in the new Justice Department. What she should have done was to have said to the White House, I do not believe that these are fill in the blank, morally, legally, constitutionally defensible. Would you like my resignation? Because I'm going to go Friday anyway. Friday's when the new Attorney General comes in. Would you like me to step aside, and I'll give you another team to address this? But we cannot permit the president to be unrepresented in court. So over the weekend, Jamie, there was a hearing Saturday night in Brooklyn, Sunday morning in Boston, Sunday afternoon in Alexandria, Virginia, and Sunday evening in Seattle, Washington. And the challengers won all 4 of those hearings. I don't even know if there was a Justice Department lawyer in the courtroom.
Right.
Now, if I were the federal judge, I would have said, who's representing the president? I'm not going to hear this case until somebody's here from the DOJ. But I honestly don't know as we speak if somebody was there. But as soon as I saw her email last night to the DOJ, we are not defending these, I thought to myself, he has to fire her. This is not the way to do this. There is a place for conscience in law enforcement. It is not thumbing your nose at the president.
That's interesting, too, because people did make a lot of the federal judges' rulings over the weekend, and it never occurred to me that there was a possibility there was no administration representation at these hearings.
I honestly don't know the answer. Part of the reason I don't know the answer is it was all so hasty. I mean, the right thing to do when judges sign orders is to reflect in the order who appeared before you on either side. These orders don't do that. These orders were sort of slapdash. Now, part of the problem was there was no DOJ to vet the orders. There were some deficiencies in them. The language was so broad, it looked as though they were barring green card holders from entering the United States. Well, that would be unconstitutional. Green card holders have the same privilege of coming and leaving the country as natural-born citizens. Then it looked as if they were barring people who had received bona fide visas from the State Department. Well, you can't change the rules on visas once they've been granted. You can change the rules prospectively. Those 2 issues have since been resolved. They should have been resolved before the orders were issued. But again, we don't have a Justice Department in sync with the White House, or at least not until this morning.
Right. Wow. So tell me, Judge, I know it could be complicated, but doesn't seem so. The Immigration and Nationality Act, which is a congressional act that apparently is what is being utilized as the groundwork for acts that even President Obama took back in 2011, President Carter took back during the days of the Iranian hostage crisis, and that President Trump is taking, and that is this INA providing a wide amount of power to the executive branch as it relates to aliens.
Well, under the Constitution, the president is the sole spokesperson for the country and formulator for the country on foreign policy. And pursuant to that, Congress has quite properly given the president the authority to suspend immigration of individuals, groups, or classes of people. Now, those suspensions cannot be based on First Amendment protected activities, meaning speech, religion, or association, but they can be based on geography or nationality, which is what Trump did. They must be temporary. They can't be permanent, which is just what Trump did. So he exercised the same authority, as you pointed out, Jamie, as President Carter did with Iranians, as President Obama did with Iraqis. This is unremarkable. It didn't even make the front pages, but for 6 months, no Iraqi was permitted to come into the country unless the president personally exempted the person, which of course he did for certain diplomatic and intelligence purposes. And Donald Trump has reserved for himself the right to issue the same exemptions for humanitarian, diplomatic, or national security purposes. So whether you think this was wise politically is debatable, but it is not debatable whether it is lawful and constitutional. It absolutely is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and now what happens, though, when a federal judge blocks this?
Well, the blocks were limited.
Yeah.
So, for example, the federal judge in Brooklyn who issued the most sweeping block, because hers is nationwide, very unusual for a federal judge to do that. Usually federal judges, when they restrain the president, will restrain him only in the geographical area where the judge sits. So the judge in Boston just restrained the president and everybody that works for him, including the TSA, at Logan. The application in Brooklyn was for JFK, but she issued a nationwide restraint. But what she restrained was the deportation of those who had visas. You can't send them back because you changed the visa rules after you gave them the visas. That has since been resolved, at least here in New York, where, as far as I understand, no one is any longer being detained. In Boston, however, in an injunction just applying to Logan, she prohibited the extraordinary form of vetting, meaning you sit down and question the person. I don't know how she could possibly do that. I would think that the Circuit Court of Appeals will vacate that. But until it does, they cannot engage in the sort of secondary round of vetting.
All right. Judge Napolitano.
So sometimes judges, as they're humans.
Yeah.
That's why we have appellate courts. Sometimes they're right on the mark. Sometimes they're wide of the mark.
Right on. Well, always great to talk to you. People love your clarifying nature, and thank you so much, my friend. At Judge Knapp, JudgeKnapp.com. Thank you, friend.
Now, give me a Schumer invitation before I go.
I'll see you later, Judge. I'll see you in New York.
You got it.
All right. See you, buddy.